Our story is Elizabeti's School. Now, as you look at the front cover, this is by Stephanie Stuve Bodine, and it's illustrated by Christy Hale. And when you look at that picture, I want you to think about, where is Elizabeti in this illustration? And this story is about Elizabeti's first day of school. She lives in Tanzania, which is a country in Africa. Now, how do you think Elizabeti feels about starting school? And as we read this story, I want you to think about how her school is the same and different from ours. Elizabeti's school. It was Elizabeti's first day of school. She tried to sit still while Mama braided her hair, but she was so excited that she had to fidget a little. Mama finished and Elizabeti jumped up. She twirled around and around in her new school uniform. She bent down to feel the smooth surface of her shiny new shoes. No more bare feet, Elizabeti smiled. School must surely be a very special place. Now think about the new clothes that she is wearing. And why does she think that school must be a special place? It was still too early to leave for school, so Elizabeti wanted to play with her cat, Moshi. Elizabeti held a string for Moshi to chase, like she did every day, but this time Moshi didn't want to play. Finally, it was time to go. Elizabeti waved goodbye to Moshi. She hugged her rock doll, Eva, and her baby sister, Flora. She let her little brother, Obedi, give her a sloppy kiss. Then Mama patted Elizabeti on the head and told her and her older sister, Pendo, to be good as they headed out the door. At first, Elizabeti walked very fast, but she slowed down as they neared the school. Pendo took Elizabeti's hand and led her into the schoolyard. There were boys and girls everywhere, laughing and yelling and singing. All the noise made Elizabeti feel shy. She looked back the way they had come and wished she had stayed home. Now, Elizabeti walks fast at first, but then she slows down as she and her sister near the school. Why do you think she does that? But then Elizabeti's friend, Rahali, grabbed her hand and led her over to a group of girls kneeling on the ground. They were playing Matura, a game with rocks. Elizabeti smiled. She liked to play with rocks. Elizabeti watched as Rahali dug a small hole and filled it with stones. Then Rahali threw a rock into the air, and with that same hand she picked out a stone from the hole. Again with the same hand. She caught the rock before it hit the ground. The next time she picked out 2 stones, and then 3. Elizabeti had started to dig a hole when the teacher rang the bell. Elizabeti filed inside with the others. She sat on a bench near the front. The teacher began telling them all the things they would do. But Elizabeti had trouble paying attention. She wondered if Flora missed playing with her or if Mama needed help cleaning the rice. The other children started to copy the letters the teacher had written on the blackboard. Elizabeti started to copy them too, but she couldn't help wondering if Obedi wanted her to take him for a walk, or if Eva was feeling lonely, sitting in the corner by herself at home. Elizabeti wondered if they missed her. She was certainly missing them. Now, why does Elizabeti have trouble paying attention? After their lessons, the children all went outside. Some of the older boys played drums while the girls danced. Elizabeti didn't know the dance, but one of the older girls took her hand and showed her what to do. Elizabeti liked it so much, she didn't want to stop when it was time to go inside. Back in the schoolroom, the teacher taught Elizabeti and the other young children how to count to 5. Moha, Bili, Tattoo, Nay, Tano. After a few times, Elizabeti could say the words on her own. Later, the teacher read a story, and after that, school was over. Elizabeti and her classmates stayed to work in the school's garden. Elizabeti helped pick the onions and the tomatoes. On the walk home, Elizabeti's new shoes started to hurt her feet, so she took them off. The warm dirt felt wonderful on the bottom of her feet. At home, Elizabeti was so glad to see everyone that she hugged them all. She changed into her old clothes, which Mama had washed and dried. They were warm from the sun and felt much softer against her skin than the stiff new school clothes. Elizabeti helped with the rest of the afternoon's chores, played with Eva and Obedi, and helped Mama give Flora a bath. Elizabeti was so happy to be home, she decided she didn't want to go back to school. Now, what do you think? Should she go back to school? Elizabeti went to find her cat. She had looked almost everywhere for Moshi when Mama finally called for her. Elizabeti ran into the house. Mama was on her knees by Elizabeti's bed, smiling, and Obedi was jumping up and down beside her. Elizabeti peeked under the bed. Moshi was curled up, sleeping, but she wasn't alone. Tucked in beside her were several tiny newborn kittens. Elizabeti knew better than to disturb them. But just then she thought of something. She pointed at each kitten and said, Moha, Bili, Tattoo, Nay, Tano. Mama was surprised and hugged her. Elizabeti knew how to count. That night, Elizabeti counted the kittens for Baba and wrote some letters in the dirt to show what she had learned at school. Mama and Baba were very proud. Pendo and Elizabeti danced, and they all laughed when Obedi tried to copy them. Elizabeti started to show Mama how to play Machura, but was surprised that Mama was already very good at it. They played until it was time to go to sleep. Elizabeti climbed into bed and held Ava close. She looked at her pretty school clothes hanging neatly by the doorway. She thought about how good it felt to show Mama and Baba the new things she had learned. Elizabeti shut her eyes and listened to Moshi's steady purring as a kitten meowed every now and then. Elizabeti decided she would give school another try, but home was surely the best place to be. Now, what was it that made Elizabeti change her mind about going to school? Think about that as we end the story. What was it that was different for Elizabeti and changed her feelings? Elizabeti School.